24/7, 365. The fantasy season never dies. Welcome to Every Day is Draft Day. Presented by Champions Round.
What is going on? Football is back. Training camp is here. I don't have to talk about the MLB as much anymore. I'm happy. We haven't done this podcast in its true glory in too long. It's time to talk about football. I'm here with my co-host Dan Beth. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm just glad that we now have the opportunity to get you away from baseball because you look like you're going to shoot yourself.
Yes, I'm driving everyone crazy. I am, and that's fine. But what else am I supposed to do? No one wants to talk about golf. We get stuck with baseball, but it doesn't matter anymore. Football is essentially back. This is the most chaotic part. Is this more chaotic than the draft time or not? I cannot decide. I think this is more chaotic.
I think it is. It definitely is more chaotic because now with training camp, you can just make an assumption based on one training camp catch against the air.
What comes with that is psychotic Ted Bundy level fantasy football takes. People will quite literally switch their take entirely from something just because they see one video of a single player. So what do you think so far, since you've been seeing all this news come out? Because today was a little bit crazy. Yesterday was crazy. What's been the most shocking or the one storyline that really stood out to you?
Well, in terms of Ted Bundy insanity, it has to be Julio Jones. I think.
Yes.
I think everyone wants to just put Julio Jones right up there as a top whatever wide receiver, top 40, top 30. I saw in some places. Come on, guys, come on. I get it. Godwin's supposed to come back now. He's not going to be on PUP. So you have Evans, you have Godwin, you have Gage, and we're just threw Russell Gage in the trash so fast.
Yeah.
Just yeeted him away, and he's still
yeeted. We are back to using yeeted. Every day is draft day is back. We are saying yeeted. NFL is here. I'm so happy. Okay, yes, we are yeeting. We have now yeeted Russell Gage
just into the shadow realm is where Russell Gage is currently presiding.
Yeah. Poor Russell.
And I just don't get it. I mean, everyone, Julio did perform well at certain points last year, but then there's always that when he's healthy. And he just hasn't been healthy for the past couple of years. And the type of injuries you get, it's the hamstrings don't get better as you get older. It just doesn't work that way. So right now, currently he would be wide receiver. He's fourth on the depth chart right now. I don't think, he just jumps immediately above Gage just because he signed. We have to see what his health is at. He's doing great. He's doing some change of direction and doing some cuts in camp and stuff, but it's against air with no one covering him. How is he going to do during the season? Is he going to stay healthy? That's legitimate. So
right.
This whole Julio is better than this other good receiver that's completely healthy and is higher up in the pecking order on their respective team is just absolute nonsense, and I hate it.
Yeah, and I think Tampa's actually interesting because Tampa. It's funny. I remember myself. Tampa Brady. When he went over, to Tampa and Godwin was there, Evans was there, I kind of avoided them a little bit because I felt there was this constant, who do I play this week? And that just, all I did was solidify Mike Evans, and now I just find it a little bit complicated. But I think what people are failing to realize is great, Julio Jones is there. And he gets a great situation because he doesn't need a lot of, there's not a lot of pressure on him to perform very well. But we're ignoring the fact that we quite literally watched this with Antonio Brown. And I'm trying to pull it up right now is Antonio Brown was not involved every game. He was used to continue to win. He, played his role for Tom Brady. And I think that Julio has a better chance to stay healthy. And I'll give him that because now, as everyone knows that has followed me, and one of the things I preach is when you force everything onto one player, like CMC, like Saquon, like those guys, you see them get hurt. And I think that Julio, at least you're putting a safety net around that because he doesn't need to get every single target. Can definitely play a part to help Tampa win games but to be super fantasy relevant to the point where, like, even that year, right? I'm trying to pull it up here. What did Julio even finish? I mean, not Julio. Julio finished the last time. Oh my gosh, Julio finished wide receiver 92 2 years ago. Like, what are we doing here? We're getting a little bit too excited. So I think that everyone needs to take a breather. Godwin is still going to be out for a little bit. There's going to be targets that need to be had. The cuter part is the Kyle Rudolph signing. No, like,
yes.
Like, come on. I mean, like, guys, Kyle Rudolph's going to get 3 touchdowns next year, max. He got 1 with the Giants. Like that, I think he's capped at 3. And, you know, putting your eggs in that basket's ridiculous. I saw a tweet yesterday that was, I'm drafting Julio Jones before Allen Robinson. What?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Don't be ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, like, now, this is when people start getting crazy. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. We're not doing that. I will say, with their center going down today, I went, being the reactive human I am, and took their under 11.5 wins. It didn't even really a crazy bet, because I think that Brady got a little greedy here, and greed never does you well. I think that he should have took a knee when he won that Super Bowl. Your time has come. Your perfect season left with Eli Manning, and my guy is just living his best life in retirement. Like, you're done. Like, just it's you're. I don't know. I don't feel that strongly like about Tampa Bay. And again, like, we're talking about the NFC. It's like not a strong matter. You could be a really good team in the NFC. You could be the worst team in the AFC if you had to switch. So I think the Julio reaction's ridiculous. We saw it. Shout out Chase. It was a matter of, I don't know, 1 minute we had someone in our draft take Julio Jones.
30 seconds in, Julio was gone. Yeah. Another thing, too, that bothers me, it's like, yeah, Julio's going to be a jump ball guy for them in the red zone. Did Mike Evans cease to exist?
Yeah, he's dead, apparently. Did you know?
Is he just gone?
He's dead.
Because I'm pretty sure that Brady is going to be more comfortable throwing to the guy that he's been playing with for 3 years over Julio Jones.
Right. And now I'm even looking right now, right? So Antonio Brown, right, you would expect, and I think it's great, like what Tom Brady is able to do, how he's able to recruit players and have the success that he has. It's definitely a talent that he has. Might be a witch. Don't know if he's casting spells on these guys. Can't tell you. But Antonio Brown finished wide receiver 57. I think that Julio's ceiling is probably somewhere around wide receiver 40.
No, it's not. It's not.
I know. I'm being nice.
It's like 55
to
60.
Like 50. Let's say 50. He could be a top 50 fantasy wide receiver.
Fine. No,
but that doesn't mean he's going to have a bad season, because I think he can. Because I feel like you think he's not going to contribute at all.
I think he'll have maybe like 3 good, like, fantasy, like, hey, this helped me win a week.
Yeah.
Games. 3.
But who wants to deal with that headache? It's like when you try to decide what running back you're going to play from the Patriots every week. Like, I don't fucking want to do that.
Nope. I don't.
Not interested. Not fun. I've always done that, though. I avoid confusion. I want it to be a little bit more simpler.
I'd rather take someone else, like a Jalen Tolbert, or someone that.
I'd rather have Nico Collins there. I said it.
Right,
I don't
exactly.
care.
Yeah. Someone that, is one higher up in the pecking order, is younger. And this whole Antonio Brown thing doesn't even make sense, because Antonio Brown and Julio Jones are not the same type of receiver.
Of course not. Right.
So this whole comparison to, like, oh, he's just going to step into the Antonio
Let's
Brown
just say
role.
target share wise. That's where I was going with it. Let's just say target wise.
Not you. Just like everyone, like all of, like, fantasy Twitter. Like, this, stop it. It's not the same player. It's not the same situation. Enough.
And it's sad because, right, we love Julio Jones for the career that he had. Is a phenomenal wide receiver that we, talent, like, we don't see all the time.
Yeah,
and
it's not 2018 anymore.
I think it's fair to say that he's a generational wide receiver. I believe that. And he had his run.
Yeah.
But again, like, a lot of Twitter, and especially right now, I'm noticing is, and this will lead me to one of the guys I want to bring up, is a lot of Twitter right now is based off of the past, which is great, like, to some extent. But if I have one more person argue with me about, and I'll bring up my Giants because, what are we, 10 minutes into the show? And it usually only takes me 6 minutes to do so. So I'm at hitting a record. Here is, please stop showing me stats from Joe Judge and Jason Garrett's era. I do not care. Do I think the Giants are going to be good? No. But I don't want, if you show me if I see one more stat from when Joe Judge was running this team, I'm going to lose my mind. If you show me one more Mike Zimmer stat from the Vikings, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, you can't base or project for the next season off of an entirely new coaching staff, which brings me to my favorite news of today. I think that Brian Deebo had a plan. And the plan was Wan'Dale Robinson is the next Deebo Samuel, which is a very dramatic, I'm being like Twitter, but they're using him in a very creative way. Talk to me about Wan'Dale. I'm so excited.
I mean, yeah, I was a little surprised. I mean, not surprised. I think that he's definitely the type of player that if you're going to use like a wide receiver in a running back role, a la Deebo, that he would be the perfect guy to do that with, based on, his acceleration and his stats. He's on the smaller side, so he's 5'8", so he's more of like 185, so he's more scat back, but still, as kind of like the complement to what Saquon can give you. I like it. I like the move. I think that's exactly why you brought in Dable as the coach, to make moves like this, to use the guys that you have in ways that can help your team, not just use them, to run a 5-yard slant over the middle and then call it a day. The fact that, they're willing to put the ball in a sense, because after Saquon, you have Matt Breida, and then that's pretty much about it. So, I mean, it's not like there aren't running back carries to be, passed around here. So if he's going to go that route, the fact that they drafted Wan'Dale, which everyone was like, what the little like eyebrow raise because he thought went a little higher. But, Giants seem like they do have a plan. They had a great draft, not just fantasy-wise with Neal and Thibodeau. And if they're going to use Wan'Dale like that, I think it's perfect. It gives Saquon some rest, get him back into, so he doesn't have to carry the entire load and then get injured again. So that's also a key component too, because you want to keep him as healthy as possible for as long as possible.
Right.
So like you said, no one's saying the Giants are going to be like, these like Super Bowl contenders or anything, but I think it's definitely a step in the right direction that the new coaching staff can take the players that they have and use them in ways that will benefit the team, no matter what it is. Just because he's a receiver doesn't mean you can't use him in the running back role, or use him on jet sweeps or whatever they want to use it in.
I'm laughing right now because I typed in, I was pulling up the report, but I have to read this tweet. This is funny. Okay. I never get to do stuff like this. The NFL is now, this is a tweet. The NFL is a copycat league, and now everyone wants a Deebo run/catch weapon. Introducing Wan'Dale Robinson of the Giants. #fantasy football, #fantasy sports, #Giants camp. Newsflash to this person. The league is changing. And a lot of teams, they are looking for that Deebo, but I think that they don't always pick the guy that fits that role. And I think that someone, we talked about this too when we did our draft coverage, like guys like Treylon Burks, guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, they don't fit this exact role of a wide receiver. They have some flaws that you don't look for in wide receivers, but if you're able to use them in this very creative hybrid role and you can unleash their talent, I think that the potential is limitless. And I think that Wan'Dale Robinson, none of us are drafting him in redrafts. He's going to go undrafted. He'll be a waiver wire pickup. Mm-hmm. Unless you're, doing dynasty and you're sticking him on a taxi squad, which is fine. I think that he might end up being one of those waiver wire sweethearts when, the Giants are known to just get hurt all the time. The wide receiver room is always injured. So he might be that guy that week 8 you end up picking up because he's the guy that's filling in there and getting the volume.
Mm-hmm. I think you make a great point about how the league is changing. I think a lot of the times and this really kind of happened with the Wildcat as well. Everyone saw the Wildcat work for one team, and then everyone tried to make a gimmick out of it, when really you have to incorporate it as part of your scheme, as part of your offense. And that's why Deebo was so successful. The 49ers built their system around Deebo playing that wide back role. So if the Giants can do that same thing, if Dabo can come in and use Robinson specifically for that and have plays for that, then I think it'll be a lot more successful than just like, hey, here's this fast small guy on the team. Let's just throw him in that role and see what works. So I think given the whole offseason and training camp and everything to prepare for that kind of role, I think Robinson will do really well. And it's something that if he is put in that role, that will definitely help increase his fantasy value as the year progresses.
Right. And even the Giants I think the nice thing about the Giants, then we'll move on from them, is like that's the creativity that you were not seeing. This was not the well planned out using players the way they should be used. It's very interesting. I'm wondering, I saw a video of Sterling Shepard who looked fantastic for where he is in his rehab. So interesting to see how that plays out. Give me another storyline. What are you hearing a lot about? Because there's been, a ton
Speaking
of them.
Giants, friend Evan Ingram.
Oh, God forbid. Guys.
Jacksonville. Everyone was like, yeah, Evan Ingram's going to be top tight end. And hold on, I have an Evan Ingram point, but I think I dropped it. Give me a second. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, drops. It's all about drops. He never changed.
I tweeted out, right before we got on. By week 5, everyone's going to realize, like, this was an Evan Ingram problem. This was not – he has the yips. I'm sorry.
Week 5. They're realizing now.
I know. I don't know when I got so soft. I think it's baseball.
Yeah, that's what it
baseball
is.
is making me soft. No, I think that, Evan Ingram has to – if he's dropping passes in training camp, do you guys know what he's going to do when he's on the field? It is what it is. I just don't. And even if he's doing that, maybe he will be what looks on paper as more productive. But I think that's going to come from him getting way less targets. I don't want to hear that it was the Giants' fault anymore. He had plenty of opportunities to catch the ball and make plays. He failed to do so. He had the opportunities. They were not bad balls. I watched him for 2 years be the most targeted player on this team. I'm not doing it anymore. Like, he is not going to be. Why are people drafting him ahead of Irv Smith? Are you guys insane? Literally insanity.
Yeah. And like you made a great point. Like that 1 year, I forget what year it was, where literally the entire Giants wide receiver core, except for one person, was, I think it was Tony's like rookie year, was hurt. And they had to target Ingram and he couldn't perform. So why is it that he goes to Jacksonville is going to be any different? He's going to be the same player. Like, we all like to like blame Daniel Jones for, sucking and everything. But looking back, like Evan Ingram did not do him any favors ever at all.
No, absolutely not. And it's funny because I told myself I was going to look up at some point when I find a spare minute. Like, I actually want to see of all the pass attempts that Daniel Jones has had, like how many drops, like what percentage? Maybe I will put that out there and like do some kind of giveaway or comment in the YouTube comments. How many, like what the percentage of drops Daniel Jones has had since he's been on the Giants? Because I bet you it is a shocking number because not only Ingram, it's also Slayton. But this doesn't have to be the Giants podcast. So I'm trying to think of what else came out today. It's been so much. Oh, Treylon Burks. Want to talk about Treylon Burks?
Sure.
His asthma is not acting up, is it?
No, it's not. The asthma is Jamar Chase's no hands of this year.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
And
people get so angry about like the most absurd stuff.
Yeah, it's just like I don't understand. And I didn't really understand it with Chase anymore. Maybe it's like they just want to put out this bad information so they drop and draft so they can draft him, I guess.
Yeah.
But this whole like this like smear, it's not really a smear. I guess it is kind of a smear campaign. Where like you just point out this one thing in training camp when guys are just figuring things out. I mean, they're rookies. They're not going to be perfect. And then they just like crap all over them for no reason. Like, yeah, okay, so he has asthma. I'm pretty sure that the Titans would know that.
So didn't Emmitt Smith have fucking asthma
in the medical
too?
screenings before the draft. It's not like this is like
he's essentially been like a high tier elite athlete his entire life. It's obviously not plagued him enough where it's been an issue, and he also got past the medical. It's not like Justin Ross, right? Which is a team that we can move to because Juju sounds like he's doing fantastic over there. And I think that people are overlooking him. Like people are overreacting.
I think with the Juju thing, I think that Juju was never forgiven for when Antonio Brown left. He couldn't stand up to the expectations of being the next Antonio Browns that Pittsburgh and the fantasy community had for him. And the fact that when he didn't do that, everyone was just, taking shots at him and saying he wasn't good enough. And, I think it's a little unfair to compare him to probably like the greatest wide receiver of that era in Antonio Brown. I think that's, like you said, that goes back to the theme of overreacting. Like, okay, it's okay that he wasn't that. He never was going to be that, and that's fine. And the fact now that he gets a fresh start in Kansas City with a pretty much wide open depth chart for targets behind Travis Kelce. And, not to make light of, training camp videos, because training camp videos should always be taken with a grain of salt, but he's made some really good catches. And if he can get a good rapport with Patrick Mahomes is still going to be Patrick Mahomes. So if he can be a top 2 receiver in that offense, he's going to perform. That's just a fact. Like
right.
there is no scenario where he isn't, if he's a top 2 guy, that he just doesn't perform. Isn't it?
And the benefit of having, right, and this is where a lot of worry comes from, is, guys like Patrick Mahomes, guys like Aaron Rodgers, guys like they elevate everyone around them. And that's what you want. You want that from your quarterback. You also want that from a fantasy perspective. I feel comfortable drafting someone like Juju, knowing that the ball is coming from Patrick Mahomes. Also knowing that I watched Juju play with a decrepit, molding, dying Big Ben arm. He was not given his best stage to show his potential, to show his talent. And I think people are still mad at him for TikTok, but I think Juju is going to end up surprising people. And surprising people in the sense where I'm not saying Juju is going to be a top 20 wide receiver. Could it happen? Maybe. I mean, maybe we see him unlock Juju's full potential, but taking him past some of these other guys is just absurd to me.
I think I don't know if this is going to be a really hot take, but I'm going to say right now, Juju outscores Julio Jones.
Oh, yeah. That should not be a hot take. If that's a hot take.
You would think it wasn't, but if you looked at Twitter lately, it might be.
Well, Twitter is actually on drugs lately, to be honest.
But yeah, like you said, even if he ends up being the top receiver, top 20 receiver is in the range of outcomes that he can get to. He doesn't have to be Tyreek Hill. He doesn't have to be Antonio Brown. He just has to be a dependable guy that catches the ball from one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and that's good enough. And like you said, the fact that he's going so low in these drafts and taking past some of these other guys is just crazy to me.
And his job almost feels more secure, and I think a lot of that comes from you watched him on the Steelers, and it wasn't what you wanted him to be. Then he's going as wide receiver 34. That's moronic. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. That is insane. I'm taking him before Hunter Renfrow, who is going 2 spots ahead of him. I am doing that because I think that I would rather chase his opportunity than knowing, Devontae Adams is going to eat up a lot of what we want out of someone like a Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what happened with something happened with Hollywood Brown? I missed that one.
Yeah. So Hollywood Brown got put on the non-football injury list with a bum hamstring right before camp. It was kind of a shock because, a lot of these NFI, things were just like crap because as soon as they went to camp, they were fine. But, that was one that was unexpected. And I think that, if that is something that should be monitored, I don't know how serious it is, but if it ends up being something where he misses some training camp or some preseason games or it lingers into the season, and with Andre Hopkins not being there for the first couple of games, that's something where you can look at it and say hey, maybe Zach Ertz and Wan'Dale Moore maybe get bumped up a little bit in your rankings because they're going to be the top guys in the offense for a little while until Hollywood gets healthy and DeAndre comes back from suspension.
Yeah, I am very much with you. I think that, and it's funny because this time last year everyone was all over Wan'Dale Moore and so excited about him. And I don't think that his role is totally cut out. And again, for everyone that listens to the show, like I definitely have backtracked on Wan'Dale. I have a toxic relationship with him a little bit. And I've watched his ADP fall though. And I don't know if that's really the appropriate way that we should be handling it. I think that there is something to the Hollywood chemistry. But if Hollywood's not going to be on the field, like where does everyone think the ball is going? So I think maybe Wan'Dale is a guy that, in the beginning of the year you can still have league winner type guys that play the beginning of the season. Like it doesn't have to just be the end of the season. So Wan'Dale is probably, as I approach upcoming drafts, that I'm going to start looking that direction more than I was.
Absolutely. And especially for the type of receiver that Hollywood is with the hamstrings. Like a couple of years ago, the same thing happened with the Eagles and Deshaun Jackson, where Deshaun Jackson, hurt his hamstrings early in the year and then, wasn't as effective at all the rest of the year. So it's really something to look at, where even if Hollywood does play and he's not going to be as effective as he could be, because, obviously his game is going to be deep speed and yards after the catch. So if the hamstring is hurting him in any way, that can also be helpful for Wan'Dale to get more opportunities that way as well.
Yeah, I love it. We could talk about this all freaking day. We try to keep our show short so that people continue to tune in with us. I'm so excited that every day is draft day is back. Next week, we're going to do more training camp talk. We're also going to finally roast our champions round draft for the league that we're in, and Dan and I have a few things to say about it. So you guys make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, make sure you follow us on our socials. We have good stuff coming out. Dan, you have something exciting coming out soon, don't you?
Yes, I will actually be finishing up my 32 team fantasy draft guide for redraft this week, so that should be out sometime next week. It was a ton of fun to make. It has a lot of really good info, so definitely check that out. And hopefully it can help you win a few leagues this year.
Yeah, and we want to, we got back in Discord. We're ready to be active in there. Super excited to be talking fantasy football again. It's been too long. It feels so right. Be sure to go play Daily Dozen with us too. We have had 2 12 out of 12s. And they didn't pay for money. They didn't play for money. Download the app. Yeah. Use the code Daily Dozen if it's your first time. It'll get you 1 free entry. I didn't tell you that. Don't tell my bosses that. We will catch you guys on the flip. Eagles and FF. Steffi Smalls. See you guys.
See ya.